So, what is wrong with North East football, or indeed what has happened to North East football? The state of it now, where the main clubs are, I'm talking about Newcastle and Sunderland, to where we were just a few years ago, it's just crazy. Let's have a chat about it and let's get your thoughts. This is the Toon Review. Hi everyone and welcome to the Toon Review. My name is Paul, and as the video in the intro there just saying about what has happened to North East football, and I decided to do this video because obviously Newcastle not playing, there's no match reports or anything, and I want to start covering a bit more of North East football, but unfortunately the predicament that they're in at the minute is just dire. If you are new to the channel, though, do stick along and watch the video. If you do like it, do hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if you're not already done so. Really want to build a football community on this channel. Newcastle United, Premier League football, EFL, football around the world, just general football channel. So even if you're a Sunderland fan, Middlesbrough, whoever it may be, do subscribe because there is other videos by Newcastle United on here. But I wanted to talk about mainly the big two, which is obviously Newcastle and Sunderland in the North East. I'll talk about the smaller clubs shortly, but just to say where we are, you know, as football teams. And I know there's rivalry and everything like that, and that'll never go away. But for me, the rivalry, I always like the banter, as long as it's done in decent taste. You know, I know there's a lot of hatred goes on out there. For me, I don't subscribe to that hatred. Half of my family are Sunderland fans. My mum's side are all Sunderland. My dad's side are all Newcastle. I took my dad's side. My brother took my mum's side and went with Sunderland. So, you know, derby days for us in my particular family were excellent. Good fun, good banter. But unfortunately, it's all been taken away by what I feel is poor ownership of the clubs. If we look at Newcastle United, since Mike Ashley took over, you know, he sat with the fans, he drank with the fans, and everybody thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. And then, you know, the years develop and the lack of funds that he spent on the club, you just have to look at the training ground situation at the minute. You know, with COVID taking over that place, it's honestly a miracle that any other serious disease hasn't even happened there, due to the fact that, you know, if we think about COVID and think about all the other horrible things in the world, that rundown place is just awful. And it was only a matter of time before something happened there, as far as I'm concerned. Sunderland, if you look at them, you know, a few years ago, well, if we look at the Premier League, it's certainly Peter Reid years, you know, as opposed to our Kevin Keegan, I guess. Peter Reid had them as high as 7th, I believe, and there was an opportunity to kick on then, but he didn't get the funds. And since then, really, it's been a slope downwards for Sunderland. You know, they've had some managers in the past who have been decent names, but they just haven't been able to do it. You know, we look at Dick Advocaat, we look at Mick McCarthy, Roy Keane, Gus Poyet, you know, Moyes to an extreme. You know, so that it's not like they haven't had big names. And what they haven't had, I guess, is the support from who it counts, the board, in a similar way to Newcastle. Because Mike Ashley is still there, but he's put nothing into this club. He hasn't had any ambition for the club. He sees it as a money-making cow, if you like. And he just keeps on doing the wrong things in the eyes of the fans. Now, as a businessman, Mike Ashley is probably doing everything right. You know, on a business side of things, he's making money for himself, which is probably all he got into this for. It certainly wasn't to take the club forward. It wasn't to spend millions on the club and win titles and win cups. It was to make money for himself, which is blatantly obvious now. And that's, you know, there's nothing as fans we can do about that. You know, hopefully in the next couple of months we may see Newcastle United taken over. There's been rumours again today that PIF are coming in again. They've got certainly a business model for St James's Park and the surrounding areas, the club itself. So, we can get excited about that hopefully in the next few weeks. Sunderland, they've had rumours of a takeover, a young kid, I believe, who's got a very rich family. But again, are they coming in at Sunderland with the right ideas and want to take the club forward? Because they've been in the doldrums for so long now, flying high in the Premier League to struggling to get a playoff place now in League One. And I know there's little banter going around between the fans, but if Newcastle fans were truthful, they'd love to see Sunderland in the same division and play in the derby games, because we miss the derbies. You go on about, you see so many surveys on Twitter, on TikTok, all these things saying, what is the biggest derby in the UK? And Sunderland and Newcastle is mentioned, obviously, but we haven't seen it for so long now. And it's a real shame, because I used to love the derbies, and obviously families who are split, some are Sunderland, some are Newcastle. It's great banter, and it's great banter among mates and work colleagues and things like that, but we just haven't got that at the minute. And it's a big shame, it really is. But again, it all comes down to the running of the football club. And Stuart Donald is turning into a bit of a monster for the Sunderland fans. He came in and promised them this and that, and it hasn't happened. They haven't made any progress. They've gone backwards. And it's this word progression that Steve Bruce has mentioned a few times for Newcastle. But where is the progression? There is none. Newcastle as a football club are going backwards. We as fans know that we have been very lucky this season to be where we are in the league, because the football has been utter dross. And if there were supporters in the stadium, they'd let Steve Bruce know about it. Now, Sunderland fans obviously know all about Steve Bruce. He was there for a few years. He didn't get it right there either. I know he wasn't supported, but he's more of a yes man to Mike Ashley. And it's just, there's nothing going right for the two clubs. There's nothing to get excited about. And this is why I decided to do the video, because it's been bugging me for a while now. The North East football has just been forgotten. Gateshead suffered problems, and they've had to drop down divisions. Darlington, I remember going to Feedham's with my mate a long, long time ago, but they used to have derbies against Hartlepool that were fantastic. But that was in sort of League Two and things like that. But it was still passion. And all of that is missing now. Mainly because of ownership, poor financial running of the club. I mean, Sunderland is struggling massively financially. Newcastle not so much. But it's this running of the clubs from people who don't have any interest in success. We as fans, we've been there for years, we'll be there for years to come. But it's the success we want. We want to see our clubs competing. And that's been a lot of problems with Newcastle this season. Pundits don't understand, because we've picked results up here and there, but the football has been terrible. Absolutely terrible. And we've been lucky. That's the thing. If we hadn't have been as lucky as we are this season, we'd have been down near the bottom three, undoubtedly. Will we be struggling at the end of the season? Who knows? I think we will be. I think time will catch up on Steve Bruce, and, the truth will come out about him. Because I don't think he's a Premier League manager, and quite frankly, I don't know any Newcastle fan that does. And if you look at Sunderland, they've just sacked Phil Parkinson. They've brought in Johnson. Whether he can turn it around, whether he's going to get supported. He's coming into a situation at Sunderland where, the ownership is all over the place. They don't know what they want. Mike Ashley, at least we have a direction with Mike Ashley now, and he's saying, right, I want to sell. I don't have any interest. I want to sell the club. And, hopefully that will happen in the coming months. But with Sunderland, there's been rumours around takeovers, etc. But again, nothing from Stuart Donald to give the fans an update of what's going on. And if it is a possibility of a takeover, and the fans can get excited and look forward to maybe starting to challenge a bit more. But the place that Newcastle and Sunderland are in, I mean, not so much Newcastle, because obviously the Premier League gets a lot more coverage. But if I'm honest as a Newcastle United fan, Sunderland, they're not a League One club. Look at the size of it, man. They're not. They should be in the Premier League, and we all know that. And if any Newcastle United fan is honest with themselves, they will know that a club that big should be in the Premier League. But fans are staying away. Obviously I'm talking pre-COVID here. The gaps in the crowd and things like that. And to an extent, Newcastle fans were the same. They stayed away. Not as many, but they stayed away. And, if I look to when I was a kid growing up in sort of late 70s and the 80s, the football Newcastle played wasn't great. I remember standing in the Gallagher end with my dad and seeing Mirandini, Keegan, Beardsley, Waddle, Gascoigne, and we weren't successful. We got a few promotions and then relegations, but what that team and that squad had was passion. They wanted to do well for Newcastle. But here we have a team like Newcastle now who have a lot of prima donnas in the team who are being sort of coached by somebody that hasn't a clue what they're doing in Steve Bruce. He's the most inept Premier League manager of all time, and his stats back that up. And then you've got Sunderland with Phil Parkinson, who just seemed to be so stubborn and wouldn't change his system no matter what. And he's ended up putting that club, yes, they're in the top 10 in League One, but they're not in the playoffs. And a team like Sunderland shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They should be top of the league. And Newcastle have had relegations in recent times. We've managed, luckily, to bounce back. But if that happened again, I fear that we wouldn't bounce back. And that's the point. Because there's no desire in these North East clubs anymore. And that's not the fans' fault. Newcastle fans are passionate. Sunderland fans are passionate and want the best for the club. But the owners don't. And that's where there's a problem in probably a lot of football, not just North East football, but we are North East football supporters. And, you have to fear, you fear for what the future holds with these guys still there. If nobody comes in and buys the clubs. It's just dead in the water at the minute. I've watched a few, prior to doing this video, I watched a few Sunderland YouTube channels and just to pick up how they're feeling, and they're feeling the same. They're down in the doldrums as well. And, we as Newcastle fans get slagged off because we're saying, the football was terrible. For some reason, we're not allowed to say that. But that's the pundits' view. But from our point of view, the football is awful. We have a say, just like the Sunderland fans do, and we're not happy. None of us are happy. And quite frankly, it's got to change, and it's got to change soon. Because hopefully, now they've got a vaccine and everything, and things will roll in the next few months, and we might be able to get back into the grounds and things like that. Steve Bruce is going to get an absolute hammering if our football does not improve. And he will know exactly what the fans think of him. He's had little digs at the fans in his press conference saying that, criticism is part of the job here and all of this kind of stuff. No. And I'm sure the Sunderland fans feel the same. If they see 11 players on the pitch giving it their absolute all, and a manager who actually knows what he's doing, tactically wise, substitution wise, and actually motivating the players, all the fans would be happy. Even if we lost, we'd say, well, we did give it a go. That's the big difference that we haven't seen in the last few months. We gave it a go. And that is seriously missing from everywhere at the minute in the North East. It's just missing. Players are missing out on international call-ups, and I'm sure it's because we have just been forgotten up here. Callum Wilson deserves to be in the England team, but this has been a thing that's gone on a long, long time now. If we look back, Andy Cole for Newcastle, scoring 40 goals in a season, etc., wasn't even sniffed around for England. Kevin Phillips, a handful of times, I think, did he actually play for England? There's been some very, very good players on both sets of teams and never had the opportunity. Never had the opportunity because there is a bias. And the North East is completely unthought of when it comes to, England or anything like that. We all know that. It's been going on for a long, long time. But, for me, sod England. I think Newcastle and Sunderland really need to concentrate on getting back to where the fans are loving going to the games, the fans are enjoying it, and we both have owners who actually want to see a bit of ambition and a bit of progression for the club. Both clubs. And I'm saying that as a Newcastle United fan, but like I say, this is an all-round football channel as well. And I've been in the North East all my life, and I hate seeing what Newcastle have become under Mike Ashley, and it's not very nice seeing Sunderland where they are. And I'm saying that because half my family is Sunderland fans, but I'm also saying it as a North East football supporter. You look at the North West, Liverpool, Man United, Man City, etc. Get all the big, somebody breaks a toenail there and it gets on Sky Sports News. But up here, we just forgotten about. And I genuinely believe that all boils down to the ownership, and that when both clubs aren't going in the right direction at the minute. And we have, certainly at Newcastle, a manager who is just content just to say yes to Mike Ashley, whatever it may be, and just sail along in the boat and see how far he gets before it sinks. But once those fans are back in the ground, I can guarantee the boat will sink very, very quickly. Sunderland, they've now got Johnson in charge. Is Donald going to back him, or is he going to be too busy looking for a buyer of the club to actually give a shit about the team? Because that's what it all boils down to. It boils down to these people giving a damn about the club and actually giving something back to the fans who stuck around for years and years and years through absolute dross. And it has to change, because the North East is low now. It's not just low because of football, it's low because of COVID. It's been forgotten about in many ways and just shit on from the highest point, really. But hopefully, if PIF do come in and sort out Newcastle United, Newcastle can be that club again. If Sunderland can manage to get somebody who's willing to spend a bit of money on the team and actually has a bit of drive to see the team win something, Sunderland can be back there again. They don't belong in League One. They really don't. Leeds didn't belong in League One. Man City didn't belong there. But they have actually rebuilt. But at the minute, there's no one there at Sunderland to rebuild. Because they've got guys there that quite frankly don't want to be there. Like Newcastle have Ashley now. We're coming up to the January transfer window. He's not going to want to spend any more money. Especially now he's fighting in court with the Premier League. There's all these new rumours about the takeover coming back on the table, etc., with every little bit of paperwork that needs to be handed over to pass the takeover. It's going to go ahead. In my opinion, it will. But I don't know how long it's going to take. That's the thing. But both clubs need something. They need the drive back. They need some excitement back. As fans, we need that. We can't be expected to sit there time and season after season just watching this utter rubbish and seeing two teams who have had success in the past, Newcastle more so distant. Sunderland had 73 and they've been in the cup final since then. Obviously, we've been in cup finals and stuff like that. We've been hammered in them, but we've been there, but we haven't won anything. And it's about time that the North East is put back on the map by owners that are willing to come into these clubs and see the potential that they have, see the fan base they've got, the passion that they have for the club, and see us, both rise again and put the North East back on the map. North East derbies back on live on Sky TV, showing how much football is loved in the North East, showing the passion of both fans, both sets of fans, which we don't see anymore. We've got to get that back, and we've got to get the owners in to do it. So I just wanted to make this video to have a chat about that. Do let me know in the comments what you think. Obviously, I know Sunderland fans as well. You've been in the doldrums. Everybody put a comment. Let's just see what you people think. I answer back to all my comments. It'd be interesting to have a chat with people about it and see what they think, and see where they think their teams can be in a few years' time if the right owners come in. Or is it that the right owners aren't going to come in and it's a really dark future for both? But hopefully people are going to come in, see the potential in the whole of the North East, invest a lot of money and get the two clubs back to challenging for things. That's what it needs to be, challenging for things. But thank you very much for watching the video anyway. Like I say, if you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed watching the video, do hit the subscribe button. It is a football channel. I know it's called The Toon Review. I'm looking at maybe changing that name, to be honest, because I want to do more of a football channel itself, but still cover Newcastle United, obviously. But I may keep it the same. There's separate playlists for all There's a separate playlist for Newcastle stuff. There's a separate playlist for the Premier League. I'm also going to obviously start doing EFL and other football from around the world. So lots of videos to come out. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Hit the like button. It helps me build the channel enormously. But thanks very much for tuning in. There will be obviously Newcastle against West Brom preview coming out the next couple of days. We've got match day 12 of the Premier League preview, and obviously other news regarding takeovers, etc. But thanks very much to everybody who's watched and everybody who will comment, because it'll be good to read what you guys think. Thanks very much for watching, and in the meantime, take care. Be strong.